Good afternoon. Ways and Means Committee will come to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Scott, Commissioner Baker McCormick, Commissioner Marecki, Commissioner Kinlock,
Present.
Commissioner Anderson,
Here.
Vice Chair Baydoun,
Here.
Chair Varga.
Here.
We have a quorum present.
Thank you. Next item.
Item B, Chairwoman's remarks.
I would like to acknowledge someone, but I think I'll wait till the end. So we'll move on to the next item, please.
Item C, approval of the minutes from the October 6, 2022 meeting.
So moved.
Been moved and supported. Any corrections? In favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Item D, unfinished business. There is none. We're moving to item E on page number 2. Item 1, requesting commission approval of budget adjustment 2023-35014 certified revenue in the state local fiscal recovery fund.
Thank you. I would like to ask Mr. Abbo to set the table for today's meeting. I forgot to do that prior to.
Well, fortunately, today's meeting isn't quite as long. The agenda isn't quite as long as it has been in the past. But again, a lot of the work that we're talking about today is a lot of it is housekeeping. Again, fixing, doing budget adjustments for fiscal year 2022, some cleanup there, getting prep for our annual financial statements. And then another example of that is just setting the table, like on the first agenda item, setting the table for 2023, moving ARPA money out of fund balance and getting ready to appropriate kind of going forward. So we've got a good agenda today. Short, should be short.
We're going to wait to vote on all the issues all at one time, although we're going to go through all the items. Any questions on item 1? Commissioner Marecki.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Is there someone here for this item? So this is just to approve the monies at this point for
That's
these
correct.
projects. So I don't know if you know, there's some questions I had about like where these projects are at, like have the communities done IGAs with these?
Jake Brower, Deputy Budget Director, Management and Budget. Overall, there's about $199 million that is unallocated pending additional contracts to come before the commission. There's about 1.1 million for sustainability programs and 47 million in various economic development programs, which have been provided for your oversight. In relation to the, hello, I'll let others speak.
Through the chair, Ani Mendoza, Director of the Economic Division. As far as the community projects go, we have about 13 contracts that should be in the commission queue. We just received some feedback and questions that we are working on in an expedited manner. But we do have some IGAs with communities. Some are through nonprofits, so they don't have the nature of an IGA agreement. But those are hopefully going to you guys on the first week of November. Is what we're aiming for.
Okay, that sounds good. And some of these questions I will just save until that time, but I do have a question about the sustainability. First, it was called an office for, and it was going to get 1.5 million. Now it's someone that's going to be working there to ensure that economic and environmental impact in Wayne County is not only environmentally sustainable, but also equitable across all demographic and socioeconomic strata. I'm going to have a lot of questions on that because I'd like really more specific information, just giving that person $1.5 million to hopefully we will be seeing exactly what's going on with that.
Yes, and I can speak a little bit to the office versus program. We do understand the nature of oops, this is moving, sorry. We do understand the nature of opening a new office requires a reorg. So our intent is to have this, just like we support small business initiatives, for this to really be a function of the economic development division. It would live within the economic development department to support these initiatives for sustainability. So it is not going to be a new office. It is going to just live within our department. If that
Okay.
answers that, and then Ramsey, I think, can probably.
Yeah,
answer
it
any-
answers it, but again, when you come forward with all, I mean, today we're just approving the monies that are coming
Yes.
forward. I will have a lot of questions on that.
Understood.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Baker McCormick.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Joe Louis Greenway project, it says that it spans across many districts, commission districts, and it includes District 6. Can you explain where it intersects there?
Yeah, so I can say that as far as the Joe Louis Greenway goes, a large amount of it is in the city of Detroit. The funding is to go through Dearborn, is to go through Highland Park. Those municipalities might not have the $20 million capacity to be able to help create that pathway. So this money is really to help fill those gaps. So that was the intention of our funding for that project.
Okay, it indicates that it crosses through my district. I'm just trying to understand where it crosses. Do you know?
Not off the top of my head, no. I can look at that and see what the route is. But I know that the purpose of this and us getting involved was because it does involve Dearborn. It does involve Highland Park. I can't speak to if our money is going specifically to your district because I would have to look at that more thoroughly.
Okay, and so I guess so that these funds are equitably, I can't even say the word, but distributed amongst the commissioners. I guess I will have more questions as well as to how it'll be equal, or if not equal, some parts of the funds will be spent in various districts.
Understood. And to speak to that too, this is
Okay.
just our first shot at it, right? There's about 13 projects. There's a big bucket of funding. We do have projects from all over the county. So there's opportunity for project support beyond this batch.
Okay. And I will be looking for the details of that as well. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think it would be helpful if the map, maybe you could look at the map, if you could send Commissioner Baker McCormick the map, and that will show the area,
Mhm.
and then she'll be able to decipher District 6 out of that map. These are just part of the projects. They were ready. My understanding is they were ready to go projects, and I would suggest to administration that all the projects that the communities have set forward, they may not have talked to the commissioners about it, so they may not know that these projects have actually been applied for. And so it would be good to get a list, so that way the commissioners would know which ones of these are more important to what they feel is more important to their districts than maybe some others. So I think that would be helpful to all the commissioners, because you're going to be asking that same question over and over otherwise. Thank you. Commissioner Baker McCormick.
And just to that point, I suggested to other commissioners that maybe a portion of the American Rescue Plan dollars could be allocated, and you can discuss that portion with each commissioner as to the best use in their district. Because we're the boots on the ground and we may know about projects that you aren't aware of. And so that's just a suggestion that I have.
We appreciate that
you.
feedback. I will say, in trying to be equitable about this, you know, we don't live in Gibraltar. I don't live in Gibraltar. I can't live in all 43 communities, right? So what we did try to do is each community submitted maybe 1, 2, maybe up to 9 projects. And we said, which is most important to you? The mayors, the city planners. We don't live there. You tell us what's most important and we can see if we can leverage our funds. And so that is kind of where we got to this list. It wasn't like we like this one and
Oh,
we
yeah,
like this
yeah.
one. It was what's important to you guys and what is the most shovel ready. And that is sort of how this first list developed.
Right. And I get that you spoke to the, you know, the mayors and supervisors and things like that. But I do think that because this money is coming from Wayne County, that the commissioners should have some say. And I know the door is open, but I'm just thinking of a more formal process that we are ensured to be involved in the process.
Understood.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to Commissioner Kinlock, Martha Scott, Commissioner, and I don't know who had their hand up first. All I saw was the red light. Commissioner Kinlock, I saw yours first. And then Commissioner Scott and Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you. One thing I want to say,
Correct.
since we've been talking about these ARPA dollars and these ARPA projects, you all have been keeping us aware of the processes. We've had a few committee of whole meetings. Also, commissioners were asked to submit ideas associated with how these dollars should be utilized. From the very beginning, you all have said, and specifically the administration spoke to us about leveraging the dollars. When you talked about those various buckets that we spent a few hours in here discussing, and those buckets were associated with identifying projects that the community had buy-in to, that you could leverage these resources and maximize them. And so with that being said, I'm asking, are these projects consistent to what we initially were told, that projects, like you said, that were shovel ready, but also that had the buy-in and as well as the financial support from the respective communities that they're coming from?
I can say all of these projects meet that requirement. They are shovel ready. They have support. We have city council resolutions for all the ones that are applicable. Nonprofit ones, hard to get city council resolutions for those, but we do have matches. We do have scopes of work as soon as this funding is available. And we have updated scopes. Since 2020, prices of construction have gone up. We've said in the past 6 months, we need something that is 6 months relevant. So that way there's not a gap, because Wayne County, you know, we can commit so much to it, but if there's a gap, where's that money going to come from? And so to protect the communities and to make sure that this project gets completed, we have asked for the most accurate scopes. So all of these projects do meet those features that you've noted.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Add to that, maybe that is the reason why we need to start somewhere so we can start putting construction onto the grounds. So that way the cost doesn't go up while other projects are being looked at. Commissioner Martha G. Scott.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you so much. I represent Highland Park. And what is your name?
Ani Mendoza? Ani?
Anas?
Ani. Ani. Yeah,
Ani.
Eileen. I'm sorry, I'm just tired of hearing, so,
that's okay.
yeah, you know. And what was your last name?
Mendoza?
Mendoza.
Yep.
Okay, and you are in economic development?
Yes, recently the division director.
Division director?
Yes, the
Okay.
division.
I met some new people over the phone this morning from economic
Oh,
development.
yeah.
So I'm just trying to find out exactly what's going on. I did not know Highland Park was a part of it, but so I would like to know just a little bit more about it. And so I will try and get in touch with you later to talk about it.
Yes,
All
yes,
right.
that works. Yep,
Okay, thank you so much.
thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you. Could I ask who submitted this project, the Greenway project?
I believe it was the city of Detroit, because they are the lead on it. A majority of the project is within the city. And then you do have the ones that cross through the other municipalities, but they are the lead on it since a majority of the ownership and site control of the route is in the city of Detroit.
One of the things that, and I think, Madam Chair, it's something you're talking about is I've yet to receive a list of all the projects that have been submitted and submitted by whom, and their status. And if they are waiting for something, if your department's waiting for something, I'd like to know what that is. And I think other commissioners would like to know too, if there's something holding it up, because that's on the local community that they haven't provided or whoever submitted it. So we need a very clear understanding of where that money, the ones have been appropriated already or have been targeted already, approved by your office and the administration. And we need to know which ones have been submitted and which ones are, they're just maybe crossed off the list even. We need that kind of an understanding and explanation, and we need it very soon because we're getting at the point now, this is a project that I'm sure there's a lot of other communities that would like to know where they stand, and we would like to know where they stand.
Good.
All right.
Can you tell us when we might have a list like that?
So we have all of that data readily available. We've been keeping really thorough track on our Airtable base. I will leave it to Eddie to sort of help coordinate that, just to make sure I'm not sending something and he's sending something. We have that list available.
Are we talking next week?
We can deliver that this week.
This week? Okay.
Yes, and you're
Thank you.
talking about the 13 projects?
No, I'm talking about
the
everything
entire
that's been
portfolio.
submitted,
Yeah.
the status of every project. And if they're waiting for something, what that item is that they're waiting for. Also the match portion. If there's, because we're wanted, my understanding is everything, they're asking locals to contribute something towards that project. So I want to see what that is. I want to see that we're dealing fairly with all the communities.
Madam
Thank
Chair, I think they need to clarify, every project that is submitted is not being brought forward. So I think you all, from what I was last told, you all are also still trying to vet the projects as well.
So I can't speak on behalf of the vetting process that the department goes through, but I will support Ani and her team to make sure, Commissioner Anderson, I would hate to say this week, and we got to worry about collecting all the data you're asking because it's a comprehensive set of data points that they're going to put together in a report to submit to you. I will promise that I would say within 10 days or less to try to get that information, because what you're asking for is the comprehensive set of requests and some additional details as far as how the department identified the projects, vetted them, et cetera. And you would like to know any of the projects that have been submitted that are not in this first wave that they brought forward, where are they, who submitted them, et cetera. So what I think we can do is at least work with the department to make sure you get the report you're asking for. And in those 10 days, if we have questions about additional information that may not be on there that you're looking for or other commissioners are, we will work with the department to make sure it's included. So within 10 days or less, we'll make sure that you get that comprehensive report that you're describing.
Maybe there was a misunderstanding, but I know the director of the department of that department said that she should be able to have it within this week. So that you had all that
Well, I think
access to everything.
you're talking about what Ani was referring to. I think because she was under the impression, I don't want to speak, but she's right here. So the 13 projects can be supplied. I think what you're asking for is every project that has come in from every district. And where are those projects today, including the 13. So yeah, the 13 can be supplied to you, but I think what you're asking for is more than that, and we'll probably need to get a little bit more time for the department to put that together.
Let me clarify something. At our next meeting on November 10th, it's a Thursday.
Yeah.
I would like to officially put something on the agenda for that day for discussion on this item.
Perfect. That should be plenty of time, right? Yeah, okay.
For discussion.
Okay.
So we will be discussing it at that particular meeting then.
Okay.
So you can bring the whole department.
We'll work with the
Everybody-
department to make sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Madam Chair, I would hope we'd see it before that, so we're prepared to discuss it. I mean,
It will
not-
be on the agenda, so it will go out before that.
Thank you.
I may have to correct myself. Felicia Johnson, you want to weigh in on that?
Oh, through the chair, I actually put my hand down. This is probably a comment more for Pam to make, but there is a COW schedule we have 14 projects related to ARPA funding, and I believe there will be a discussion regarding ARPA at that meeting next week. Just wanted to remind the committee of that.
Right.
That COW is scheduled for 14 ARPA contracts and probably a general discussion for ARPA. But I don't want to speak for the chair or Pam at this moment, but just know that that committee is scheduled for those 14 agreements. Staff has those 14 agreements and we are currently reviewing all 14.
Thank you. So what we're asking for is the others besides the 14 that you have from communities. Also, I'm going to go on to say that it's important for all of us to check with our communities individually because some of the communities have applied for something and like I'll use my district, for example. I may not have been the most supportive of the project that the city might be. But because the city feels that they want it, I'm going to work with the city to make sure that my city gets what they want. So it is really, and I applaud you for working with the cities because they know best what they want to do. They have the whole plan of how they want to project their city to outside the public where we commissioners can support with them with the money, but they are doing the planning for their own city. So I would really encourage all of you to do that. I spoke to my city several times, my cities, and we may not always agree 100% on what we feel, but I leave it to the city because they know the best. So I applaud you for that. And I'm sorry I interrupted, but Commissioner Anderson, you still have the floor.
Just one follow-up. I just wanted to ask also in that report to be how the criteria and the formula that you used in making those determinations. So we see that as well.
We did look at,
Pardon me?
we did look at feasibility. We looked at if it was equitable. There are a handful of benchmarks that we did consider. And so we can include that.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Marecki.
Thank you. And you guys have been great to work with my communities. I mean, I've been involved in all the meetings. But Guidehouse sent us something a few months ago with all the criteria. At that point, all the listed projects of what people had asked for. I'm sure that needs updating, but we did receive a whole packet from Guidehouse with those criteria and that type of thing.
The entire portfolio?
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
So, I mean, it was an email, so if you go back, you can probably get some kind of idea of what projects were, and I know some of that has changed. But I appreciate that, and I think it's important, what Commissioner Kinlock too, is that all these projects, they have a skin in the game with all these things to some point, which I think is really important with this type of thing. And there's a lot, I mean, I know there's projects that could come right after these 13 if things just get a little more polished with. And the list of the 13 is there, it's in our packet today as well. So I appreciate all the time you guys have been spending on this. So thank you.
Our staff's been working really hard, so we appreciate that.
We have.
I don't want to ask you too much because I do know that every time we get another report, we have you coming in here for us. They can all join us on Zoom on that day, so that way they don't have to leave their offices. Have to do a lot. So I'm looking at the microphones that are still lit. Commissioner Martha G. Scott, you still have a question?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I just didn't turn it off.
No, that's okay. That's what
Correct.
confuses me on who I need to call on next. Mr. Mark Gabo? Thank you very much.
Sure,
We
thank you so
appreciate
much.
your hard work and as always.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Item 2, requesting commission approval of budget adjustment 2022-35-293, reallocating expenditures in the health insurance fund. Item 3, requesting commission approval of budget adjustment 2022-35-202, reallocating expenditures in the juvenile justice abuse neglect fund.
Any discussion? Item?
Or requesting.
Oh, Commissioner Marecki?
I just have one question. This must have been was this a, like a pretty quick decision? When all the stuff came out in the newspaper, I know they mentioned going to the Dickerson facility. So this is, they're going to do it like quickly?
Yes.
Okay.
Could
So that was
you-
just
I-
decided
I'm
upon the
sorry.
last couple months?
Identify
Miles Caparoon,
yourself.
Management and Budget Finance Director for the Department of Health, Human and Veteran Services. Could you,
So that was just decided in this last month and a half or whatever?
correct.
Okay.
Once the move was decided, we needed to reallocate funds to make sure we covered all the costs for the move.
All right, good. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Item?
Item 4, requesting commission approval of budget adjustment 2022-35-314, reallocating expenditures in the general fund.
Any questions? You lucked out.
I have a question.
Oh,
This,
Commissioner Marecki?
this is not much money. Are we at
Would you,
we're at 4,
would you
right?
please identify yourself first?
Absolutely. Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners. Nathaniel McQueen, Deputy Director on behalf of Samar J. for Director in Wayne County Homeland Security and Emergency Management.
Okay, thank you. This isn't that much money, but what is the Stone Garden grant expense?
So as many of the commissioners are already aware, the Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Management, we receive several federal grants yearly that we sometimes are the fiduciary of. Stone Garden Grant is one of those grants where the county is the fiduciary, meaning that we disperse those funds out to the local law enforcement entities to do the work. That work for Stone Garden is a federal grant whereby we protect the land around waterways dividing the United States between another foreign country, that being of Canada. This $6,000 was allocated in that Stone Garden grant that we received. $6,000 was utilized to do repairs to the Wayne County Sheriff's Department's 2 boats that we have that we utilize along the waterway on the Detroit River there to protect that border between us and Canada. That money was already dispersed and those boats were repaired. We took it from a subsection of that particular grant, which was the contractual services and operating expenses subsection. And after we had done that, we found out through management and budget, it would better fit under the area of operating expenses. So this is just a request to move that money from the one subsection to another so that it better aligns with the county's management and budget section.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
So this was really for accounting purposes.
Correct.
And this particular grant, we get almost every year.
This is a yearly grant that's awarded to the county, and it has a 3-year lifespan, 36 months, meaning that we expend these funds over a 36-month timeframe.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Commissioners.
Any other questions? All righty. Next item, please.
Item 5, requesting commission approval of budget adjustment 2023-35015, reallocating expenditures in the general fund.
Chair Markey?
Thank you. There's a lot of things I haven't heard about.
That's fine.
This agenda. I just want to know what the Fair Michigan Foundation is.
Our budget director knows the answer.
Good afternoon. I'm Drew Vandergrift, Wayne County Budget Director. This was a request that originated with the prosecutor's office. Fair Michigan is an entity in Michigan that advocates for prosecution of crimes related to and targeting LGBTQ citizens. And so certainly last year, I know for certain, we had an appropriation on the order of $80,000. There was a request this year, which in no way obligates the county to do this every year. But the request was, well, is the county able to appropriate more, $150,000? Upon review, we found that we could and that there was good work being done. And so that is the benefit associated with this budget adjustment.
So this is an additional 70,000 to the 80,000?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you.
To prosecute offenders of those particular hate crimes.
That is actually very, very fair that they do that. Thank you. Next item, please.
Item 6, requesting commission approval of budget adjustment 2022-35315, reallocating expenditures in the juvenile justice abuse neglect fund.
Mark Abbo, this is to, through the chair, this is to eliminate a deficit in this? Oh, never mind, Mark. I should have asked. Sorry.
Paul Caparu, Finance Director for the Department of Health, Human and Veteran Services. No, this is just add more money to the food budget for the juveniles. So we just
okay.
take a peek at the food budget in the juvenile detention facility right before the year end, and we're just adjusting the budget to make sure we cover the budget for the food.
Oh, okay. So you're adjusting it to cover.
Correct, the food before the end of the year.
All right, thanks. Sorry, Mark.
So in essence, there would be a deficit if we didn't do it.
Right,
Correct.
right. Yeah. So, okay, thank you.
We used to call all of these reconciliation. Reconcile their budget to make sure that every item is paid correctly from the correct items, line items. Next item, please.
Items number 7, requesting commission approval of budget adjustment 2022-35306, certifying revenue in the jail commissary fund and the general fund.
Yes, Commissioner Baker McCormick.
Is there anyone to talk to what the outplacement, residential outplacement looks like?
Through the chair, Sumaya Harp, I'm on Zoom. I can answer the question.
Sure.
Thank you. These are the residential treatment contracts that commission approved. We had 4 of them that came to commission to public safety, and they approved so that inmates are released so they can get a bed, they get food, they get social work. So this is where they say outplacement. It's the residential treatment contracts. And we have 4 of them right now.
So this is basically just for treatment for the inmates.
Yes, ma'am.
They don't
We
actually, stay at do they live in the facility?
Yes,
Treatment?
they
Okay.
can live up to 30 days in the facility, yes.
30 days, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And those are court ordered, or who makes the decision to have them?
It
in
could
those
be both.
facilities?
There's some that are court ordered and then some that are to reduce the number of inmates at the jail. We send some people to the residential treatments. So it's both.
And
Any other
are the
questions?
locations, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Commissioner Baker.
Are the locations all in Detroit, or are they all around the county?
They're all, I want to say 3 out of the 4 are inside the city of Detroit and 1 out of the county. If you give me a moment after this meeting, I can send you the addresses for all 4 of them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions on this item?
Item A, requesting commission approval of budget adjustment 2023-35001, certifying revenue in the county park fund.
Questions on this one? Yes, Commissioner Baker McCormick.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a clarification on what renovations in the museum. Are they, I mean, is anyone?
Let me ask, is anyone on Zoom or in the audience who could speak to this issue?
Madam Chair, Alicia Bradford, I am via Zoom.
Thank
Wayne
you.
County Parks DPS Director, Parks Director. Thank you so much. To Commissioner Baker McCormick, this is an adjustment that's needed for our Nankin Mills renovations that we will be doing to our 2nd and 3rd floor exhibits and to a space within a common area where our naturalists program and meet as well. So if those to recall, in 2019, we did our 1st floor lobby in nature area, but we have subsequent exhibits on the 2nd and 3rd floor, Henry Ford, the Underground Railroad, and the history of the mills that we would like to update as well. So this is part of that budget adjustment in order of a $2.6 million project to do those renovations and also to do some LED upgrades and energy efficiency windows and the like.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Bradford, can you provide a breakout of what those changes are going to be for the Nankin Mills project? And if there's displays, I just wondered, has there been discussions with folks, the Friends of the Mill and other groups that have they been involved in that at all?
Through the chair, Commissioner Anderson, they have been in prior discussion. Friends of the Mills are basically down to 1 to 2 members, and we've engaged those in discussion. This is all part of a strategic plan for the mills that was in fruition probably 5+ years ago. So we've been able to do this in phases. We're working with the Henry Ford descendants and the museum and their archivist as well. So we're bringing in additional individuals to provide some input as we update and upgrade the facilities and the exhibits for those floors. But I can certainly provide a general list of those improvements that will take place. And then we hope to have that under construction beginning of the year, and the museum renovated and fully open by later 2023.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you much. Anyone else? Next item, please.
Item number 9, requesting commission approval of budget adjustment 2022-35257, certifying revenue in the general fund, in the Water Quality Management Fund, the Rouge Valley System Fund, and the Department of Environment Fund.
You? Any discussion on this item? Next item. I'm sorry. That was number 10. Will entertain a motion. Commissioner Baydun.
Madam Chair, I will make a motion to recommend approvals of items 1 through 10 to the full board.
Supported by Commissioner Kinlock. Any more discussion on items 1 through 10? Please call the roll.
Commissioner Scott, Commissioner Baker McCormick,
Yes.
Commissioner Marecki, Commissioner Kinlock,
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson,
Yes.
Vice Chair Baydun,
Yes.
Chair Varga.
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. Next item.
F, such other matters as may be properly submitted before the committee.
I have none. Does the fiscal division have any such matters before our committee that you want to discuss? I hear none. Next item.
Item G, public comments.
Anyone in the audience wishing to comment? Under public comments? Anyone on Zoom or on the phone would like to make public comments? Please do so. Hear none?
No emails have been received.
No emails have been received. Item?
Item H, adjournment.
So moved.